And
we start with White Walker death destruction. We run right into incest and child murder, or almost murder.
Yeah, attempted
murder. Like, hey, that's just the first 5 pages of the book.
Original geek, that's who I am. Rolling 20s with my squad, we got a plan. Marvel heroes on the wall, D&D dice in hand. Original geek, across the land. Level up, never gonna give it up.
Hey, welcome to Original Geek. This is the All Fandom podcast where we dig into sci-fi, fantasy, comics, and every pop culture obsession that built the multiverse we live in today. So whether you're Gen X, a millennial, or just geek curious, welcome to the basement. Hi, I'm Steve Scarfo.
And I'm Jeff Shaw, and we'll be your squires for today's Tournament of Champions. Because today, we're going to Westeros. We're talking Game of Thrones. We're talking Night of the Seven Kingdoms. What do you think about that, Stu?
I just like the tune. We're going to talk the song later. The score later. But yeah, I mean, this is what sort of kicked off, I think, the modern age, if you will, of how fantasy is handled on TV and streaming platforms. Game of Thrones on HBO gave legitimacy to this subject matter. You know, we have some great movies that we've talked about doing episodes on that I think we must have referenced a couple times, Hawk the Slayer and these old goofy cheeseball fantasy that were still fun to watch crawl. You know what I mean? But this was fantasy content was always sort of B movie. We're not going to put a lot of money or time or energy into it. We'll put it out there for the nerds and we're not going to do justice of it. But Game of Thrones hit, and it was, from the very first episode, they showed they were bringing great actors. They brought they stayed. We talked about it before we started. They stayed true to the source material, and they did a great job. Mostly.
So as long as they have the source material, this is accurate.
Yes.
But it's funny, like you said, it changed the way fantasy was kind of perceived and expanded its audience. Except, and you talked about this in a different episode, and maybe we'll do a deeper dive, the Wheel of Time. For whatever reason, Amazon wanted its Game of Thrones, which was this amazing show where people in our streaming world were glued to a specific time frame. And this does not happen much. A lot of us see something not when it premieres. We'll see it, we'll watch it later, we'll just view it when we can. We can fast. I know HBO doesn't have commercials, but for regular TV, like, we do everything we can to not see it when it premieres. It doesn't fit in our schedule, whatever. But HBO brought that back. Like, you did not want a spoiler. You wanted to be part of it. And what amazes me, because I actually read the books, is that like, people would like comment like, "Oh my God, can you believe it?" Like, yes, I can. Like, that easy to find out because they stuck to the source material.
It's weird. If only there was a way for us to have known ahead of time
that Ned Stark dies. Sorry, spoiler alert.
But see, I think that just proves what we're trying to talk about, right? Because so many people were invested from the get and who had not read the books. This kind of material is generally, and Wheel of Time, I think, is that same kind of thing, right? Wheel of Time could have been another Game of Thrones. It brought its source crowd with it. There are all of those of us who love the books, and the books to me are phenomenal. And when they did the things that they did and were so far away and so far departed from the source, nobody expects the source material 100%. We understand that it's a film adaptation. You have to take some liberties. There has to be changes, but you don't change whole characters. You don't mess with that stuff. But because they didn't, and George R.R. Martin is a great writer, he had his stuff down, and I'm sure this wasn't something he penned in a weekend. You know what I mean? He planned it out. He had, I don't know how many books were in the series, but he knew this was going to be a big story. He planned each scene, I keep wanting to say each episode, but each book, right? When they took that and adapted it perfectly, it brought a whole new crowd, people who hadn't read the books, because you see this on screen, you know, and it starts with this creepy ass walker scene, not walker, white walkers. You know, out of the gate, you're like, what the hell is going on? And why do I not know about this? And I had heard of the books. I knew you guys had read them. I've talked about my kids make fun of me. I don't read anymore, unfortunately. I just never have time to sit down. I told you the other day I've been reading
96.
I know, but I've literally been reading the same book, a 250-page book, people. I've been reading it for like a month because every time I pick it up, I read like 4 pages and pass out.
Well, I think what is interesting, why I think it might have worked for HBO and maybe why they selected it, is because as far as entry into fantasy for folks who might think, that's not really for me, it's low magic. It's high on intrigue and politics and character development, and it's the pacing is really strong. And so you become invested in these characters, and he's really good at immediately heightening things like
the tension right off the knot.
Yeah. So I think it was more like medieval fiction than medieval fantasy. And at least initially, you immediately saw the White Walker. Right? They are White Walkers. Now I'm starting to question.
No, it's White Walker, but but you don't actually, I don't remember. Do you actually see them? I think maybe you get a close up of, like, it's such a close up you can't really. I don't remember the opening scene, but it's literally just a couple of minutes, and it's
the same in the book.
Aftermath of what they had done as they passed through. But no, you're right. They really focus on the characters, and the politics and the stories of the world, right? What's happening. So you're right. It's a light touch for a fantasy. There are some creatures, but not like a D&D movie where there's, dozens of creatures. There's some magic, but it's light and it's hard to access. Not, again, like a D&D movie would be.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think Bran catching Cersei and Jaime in bed.
Not even in bed, in hay. Because he goes and climbs the tower, right?
Yeah, and then gets thrown off. Yeah.
And that's within the first
Jaime.
Yes, that's such a great line. But that's in like the first 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, that's what I mean. Like immediately you're like, oh my God.
And we start with White Walker death destruction. We run right into incest and child murder, or almost murder.
Yeah, attempted
murder. Like, hey, that's just the first 5 pages of the book.
Yep.
Or whatever, first chapter.
It's wild. It was great, and I think that's why it worked. And then until it didn't quite as much. I know we're going to talk about that epic fail. But as soon as they ran out of George R.R. Martin's source material and they were flying on their own, they did not prove to be as adept at creating content as they were at adapting.
No. And this is something, and I know we're at Game of Thrones, but I'll probably talk Wheel of Time a lot because of these changes and that shift. If any production heads are listening, if you find a book or a series of books, whether it's fantasy, whether it's Jack Reacher, whatever you're adapting, there's a reason people like the source material. They don't want your interpretation. I get it. You want to put your own little spin on it. Do that to your story. If you're adapting someone else's story, tell their goddamn story, because that's what we like. I didn't read the Wheel of Time 8 or 10 or 14, whatever the hell books it was, to read your interpretation and in the first 10 minutes screw up the mythos of the friggin' story. And this is what happens later seasons in Game of Thrones is they decided, oh, well, we're ahead of him now, so let's just put our little spin. No, you don't. Don't put your spin on it. You go to the guy who wrote the damn story and tell him, hey, give me some outlines to work from. I realized the books weren't done, but sorry. This should have been my rant. I might cut this out and put it at the end. I rant again about the end. Pisses me off. But right now, let's we're digging deep.
Better flashback.
Let's do it.
Let's take a trip through time. It's a Geek flashback.
All right. So like I said, the book came out in 96. So what do we got? That's 30 years ago?
30 years ago.
Yeah. So this counts for a Geek flashback. Normally we're flashing back to the 70s or 80s, but I think 30 years counts as a flashback. But to be
Jeff,
honest,
I'm 56. 2 days ago counts as a flashback.
To be honest, I was not an early adopter of Game of Thrones. I think the second book came out in 98, and my wife, who is a faster reader than I, we read the same books generally. She's read so much more than I, though. So she would pick up something. So maybe I'm still reading a Robert Jordan book at that time, and she's already into something else. And so she's reading Game of Thrones, and she's getting annoyed because in Game of Thrones, those of you who have not read the book, Steve, for instance,
It's me.
Each chapter is told from a different character point of view. And if she's starting with Ned Stark, so it says Ned, and then the next thing it says Tyrion. Then it's Catelyn Stark, and then it's Jon Snow. And then what she would do, because she's like, no, because he was always it was always a cliffhanger. Every chapter.
Yeah, every chapter.
And then you wanted to read the next one as fast, and then you got into the next character point of view. So she read it in a very weird way. She read all of the Ned chapters, then all the Tyrion chapters, and then all the Bran chapters and Jon. She just did not read it the way it was intended, but she needed to know, okay, what's going on with Ned? And
they should republish the book in that order.
So she, remember, she's like, let me know if this bugs you. I'm like, it did not bug me. It made me read it faster, actually, because I had to get Bran's like on the ground. What's going on? Oh no, let's jump to Tyrion in a whorehouse. Like, okay, let's get through the whorehouse so I can find out what happened to Bran. So yeah, that's my
all I think
flashback,
about.
We loved those books and that structure. And it was so original because 15 chapters, the most of any character, was given to Ned. So you're thinking Game of Thrones is Ned's story. More like it's switch point of view. Like I get that. But Ned had the most and everything's going to focus on him. We thought he was going to be our hero. And he gets his head chopped off in the first book.
Yeah.
And then the second book, it's mostly Tyrion. And actually Tyrion, of course, survives. Until the end, as far as we know, still alive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because obviously the show each season ran the length of a book, right? So as a non-reader and consumer in that way, I didn't know that's what was coming. So it definitely caught me by surprise because as, again, an outsider just watching, I was totally thinking this is his story. This is his family story. This is how this is going to go. And of course, it becomes a much more robust, character-driven story across tons of characters. But you certainly start thinking that that's going to be him. I'm going to just continue on mine. Was that this is that line of demarcation, and I guess I said it a little bit in the opening and the daily topic part of the day. But there used to be these movies like Hog the Slayer and Crawl, like I was talking about earlier. They were fun and goofy. And, but they were super niche. And they were very, I don't even know what to say. They weren't well publicized. They weren't out there. They were almost direct to video when video was still VHS tapes. And we had kind of accepted that this is the quality that we are going to get. No one's going to put any real time or effort into this. So when they dropped it, this to me, and again, it wasn't 30 years ago for the book. See, I told you I was going to live Google ahead of time, and I didn't, because I don't know when the TV show started. It had to be at least 15 years ago.
I can do it.
You want to do it? Game of Thrones. Let's see. It started in 2011. So we're talking 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not quite as flashy and back as, like I said, 3 days. I don't remember what I did on Friday. But this was such a big change, such a good change. And I do think it lit the fires under all of the studios and the streaming services. Some of them have got it, like The Witcher. I don't think The Witcher happens on Netflix without Game of Thrones destroying on HBO, for instance. So that's, to me, the flashback to me is I sort of felt validated as a fan of this type of content that, oh yes, okay, finally someone's taking us seriously.
Yeah.
And finally we're doing something.
Absolutely. I want to talk Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
It's time for a random review.
All right. Well, welcome to an Original Geek random review. We set the topic, the dice set the direction. We know what we're reviewing, just not how. Now, if you've been following us, you know how we do this. We have a AI generated list of things to talk about.
Thanks, Google Gemini.
We do this on purpose so that we can
be the least prepared. We can be.
Yeah, that's the random, right? It's not just we don't know which one of the items we're going to get. We don't even want to know what they are, so that we have to.
Off the cuff as possible.
Yeah, we want to talk. This is a word I learned from you, and I love it. Extemporaneously. It takes me 3 times in my head to say it, so I can get all the syllables. But we just want to have fun with it. So this is about specifically the first 4 episodes of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. At some point, you will see the chart pop up on screen if you haven't already, and you'll get to see what we're doing. As always, like, follow, subscribe, join the conversation, put comments in. If you saw one of the other options we didn't get to, but you want to talk about it, throw some comments at us, and we'll talk about it. You want to roll, or do you want to review?
I'm ready to roll.
Oh, okay, you go first. You roll.
17. Successful wisdom check. The true knight philosophy. Dunk's struggle to afford armor and horses. It's the heart of the series. Episode 2's focus on the financial reality of being a knight, haggling for shields, worrying about the ransom, provided a wise look at the feudal system that Game of Thrones often glossed over.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite parts of the show. Not specifically the money, but the point of view of the hedge knight. Because it's so far removed. Like, we're just talking about Ned Stark, but he's a lord, and his Baratheons, his like brother-in-law, and they're like all at the top of the list. These are the people who are in the courts and who are running the kingdoms, and they run the regions. And Dunk is just, well, he's Dunk. He's a simple hedge knight. And the fact that he, you see these scenes in Game of Thrones where everybody's walking around with the most burnished armor, and like they have all the they have everything, and it's amazing. The swords are huge and the shields are decorative, and you don't think about it because they're just always there, right? It's a set piece for the Game of Thrones. When you get to this guy's story, we start and seeing him bury his former master and realizing, shit, this is all he has. He has a sword a shield, and some armor, and that's it. Couple horses. You know what I mean? He doesn't even have that much money. But he still lives this life of a knight. So it was very kind of cool to see in episode 4, when they talk more about the challenge that comes at him, you see that turn back around, because he was the guy he was haggling with for the armor ends up turning it back around and giving him a really good deal, because he proved himself as a knight. Because a true knight is about honor and protecting the innocent. I am trying to be somewhat spoiler light if you haven't actually seen the episodes yet. But yeah, I thought it was great. I think they did a great job, and it was a really cool perspective.
Yeah, and it's funny, this has been a bit of a theme for some of our episodes recently, because having that smaller story with a more minor character, Greenland, when it comes to disaster movies, focusing on more of an average Joe. You might mention the Star Trek's Lower Decks is one of your favorite shows, which is not the people on the bridge, which is what every Star Trek episode is, the people on the bridge. Now this is the Lower Decks. And so I think that's really, I love that they did that. And I'm going to admit that when this novella came out, Dunk and Egg, or the Hedge Knight, or whatever you called it, I was so pissed, because I'm like, write the fucking 5th book already. Finish it. I don't need this flashback, prologue, novella. I need the book done. Focus, man. Focus.
This is hysterical to me, because I guess I didn't read the books, and I didn't, like we did with Robert Jordan, where we waited with bated breath. I didn't for his. So I did not realize that this was like a stopgap between full full episodes. Or
so annoying.
Not episodes, full books.
So annoying.
All right, awesome.
So, yeah.
All right, here we go. 19. Successful. Oh, you just said it. Successful charisma check. The Dunk and Egg chemistry. The big brother, little brother dynamic. The show's secret weapon, if you will. The banter between the two, Dunk's grumpiness versus Egg's snark, is being compared to the best of The Last of Us. Their chemistry carries even when the slowest dialogue heavy scenes, I think.
Yeah, this dynamic, it works really well. There, once again, like I said, like when I first heard this book, I was like pissed. When I heard this show, they're going to make it into a show, I'm like, oh, come on. Like, just give, and at this point, I'm just like, give us more House of the Dragon. Because we got to wait another year for House of the Dragon. What's going on? And then this show took off. It's like, it's been one of the most successful shows on HBO. It's gotten that episode 4 has one of the highest ratings of an episode on IMDb, historically, of a TV show. So, I mean, this is a great show. And I watched it because the buzz was just, I'm like, okay, it's got the buzz. It's got the numbers. I'm going to give it a try. And I'm so glad that they actually created this, because it is different. It's smaller, and we get this focus on Dunk and Egg, and they're great odd couple. It's, this giant Dunk and little Egg, on. Sorry, wait, spoiler. But it was a book, so you can find this out.
This is one of those where,
although this is the first time I'm getting surprised, because I refuse to get that book.
So you didn't, so you get to live like I did during Game of Thrones.
Now I know how it feels.
It feels good,
great. Man. It's great. And their odd couple, his, cause he's very, Duncan is very earnest, but he's very simple, and, Egg has been clearly well educated. He knows a lot. And so they're such polar opposites. Their size, the way they talk, their approach, their experiences, everything is polar opposites. And this odd couple dynamic works great. Highly recommend that you get into this show. I know I don't want to get into our message to a new generation or
not yet.
so.
So,
Yeah.
I agree. And it's funny because, they really are at opposite ends of everything. So I like that observation because Dunk, he's like tries to be the hard ass. He's like, I'll clout you in the ear. And then he's like, you want some bread? You know what I mean? He's definitely, I think the big brother, little brother dynamic is a perfect description for it. You covered most of it, but I really do enjoy this dynamic between the two of them and how that dynamic in episodes 3 and 4 really end up affecting everyone around them, right? It's oh God, I'm trying not to be spoilery. Just watch the damn show. It's great. But anyway, because of who they both are in that episode, especially in episode 4, you start to see stuff shift, and it's not just, it's because of his earnestness, because of him being the good person that he is, because he's simple and good and honorable. Everyone around him in this that's getting ready for this tournament starts to shift, and alliances break and are remade. And yeah, I think there's a lot to that more than the fun, humorous parts to it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad. And I've since heard that this is in the book, the same reveal that who Egg really is. And the thing is, it's not much of a spoiler. You write it because we're not as clueless and innocent as Duncan. Like, he's clearly not from Flea Bottom. He's clearly not a stable boy. He clearly is educated and not who he's like, and then he, like, right away when the Targaryen royal retinue shows up in town, he runs away. So I mean, who he is.
Yeah, there's
the clues are there. And I'm so glad that it was revealed in the 3rd episode, so that you don't like that's not where the dramatic tension is, because that's what I was afraid of. Like, the dramatic tension is Duncan's never gonna figure out. Duncan's just not gonna know, like, who Egg really is.
No, and it is good because they don't, he's very simple, but they don't make him stupid. He's not well educated, but he's not an idiot. So I agree. I'm glad that they didn't drag that out for 5 or 6 episodes, because it would have been frustrating to be like, you made me wait this long to find out that where we were suspicious in episode 2, to your point. But I think it's time to bring this back to the original Game of Thrones and take it to court.
The fandom is divided. It's time for Geek Court.
I'm trying. It's not going. Okay, so we're going to do a different approach this time, but usually we take 2 sides of one coin and we debate it as you would in any good court system situation. This time, we're going to go toe-to-toe, and we're going to talk about, in the original Game of Thrones, I guess books or show, I'm going to stick with the show since I didn't read them, whose character had the best character arc? I'll give you the choice. Do you want to start, or you want me to start?
I'll start. So, at the end, you decide, listener or viewer, who did you agree with more? My contention of the best character arc in the Game of Thrones TV show, and I imagine it'll be similar in the book, but we just don't know, is Arya Stark. So Arya is this kind of, tomboy, wants to be, a knight or a fighter. She's not interested in all the girly stuff. But she's just a little kid. Older siblings, they humor her, but maybe find her a little bit annoying and perplexing, as certainly Sansa finds her tomboyishness annoying. She gets her way. She becomes the warrior that she wants to be, and she becomes no one. So she has hours and hours of training with a variety of fighters. She's got Sorio, who trains her, Yoren, even Tywin, in his own way, not as training him as a fighter, but she's a cupbearer for him. The Hound as well, and the Faceless Men is her masterclass, where she becomes like an assassin essentially. And she did learn her needlework because her Valyrian sword, I thought it was Valyrian, but her sword needle, she gets to learn to use that, and eventually she gets the dagger from Bran, who can't use it, and it's the dagger she uses to kill the
Night King.
The Night King, thank you. Kills the Night King with that dagger. And so she is key to the success of staving off the White Walkers from the north. So I'd say Arya comes a long way and achieves her dreams. And that's what makes her have the best character.
Solid argument.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to tell you why it's not the best one.
Ooh, okay.
Aha. Aha. All right. That was going to be my first choice, but you got to choose first. So I agree. Arya had a great arc. I'm going to challenge the definition of best because this was not a positive journey, but to me was one of the best arcs in terms of the trajectory that this character goes. And this is for Daenerys Targaryen. So Daenerys starts off very meek and becomes this fighter for justice through fire, quite literally, and being beat up by her brother and taken advantage of by Khal Drogo. She becomes the strong-willed woman who is the mother of dragons, and she gives you this sense. Now, this is the TV show version, as Jeff pointed out. Who knows what the book will say? But
the book, I think, would prove you correct. That I think she does have the TV show. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so this version is what I know. And so she has this trajectory of a hero's journey, and she's heading toward this hero's journey. But throughout the entire series, we hear about Aegon the Terrible, who was the last Targaryen to hold the throne, who he was the destroyer because he went mad, the Mad King. And so Daenerys looks like she's going to avoid all this right up until season 8, when she starts to get a little more snappy. And then at the end, of course, the ending that pissed me and probably half the country off was that change. Now, I said it's not good in terms of I liked it, but it was, if you look at the trajectory of her character arc, it was the most dramatic change from start to finish, because she went from meek and mild through strength into becoming a conqueror for good to I'm just going to light the entire city on fire. And so that's why I think hers was a really solid character arc. Now, you might have hated the arc, but it was there. So, was Jeff right? Was I right? It was me. But write in, tell us. Let us know what you think. If you think we're both idiots and it's really Sansa for some reason, tell us that too. Because she actually had a pretty good arc too.
Sansa.
The Dark. Do you know, it's funny? I just watched Dark Phoenix today. With the same actress there, whose name I can't think of. But yeah, let us know. We like these random reviews. This will probably end up being a longer one than our normal, but rate, review, like, subscribe, tell us we're awesome, but jump in and have fun with us.
Dust it off and geek it out, because it's a basement treasure.
They're digging in the wrong place.
Right. My basement treasure today is from 2013, so only going back 13 years. And it's Game of Thrones adjacent. It is a song of ass and fire from South Park. And it is streaming on the Paramount platform. It's from season 7, episode 8. It's actually a 3-parter, so you would have to watch season 17, episode 7, 8, and 9. It's a trilogy. It's the Black Friday trilogy, and the concept is that the children of South Park are split between Xbox Ones and PlayStation 4s, which is better. And which one to get on Black Friday. And they think we all need the same console, so we're all playing the same game the same way. Anyway, so their houses are battling it out. And so in A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the second one, Butters and Scott Malkinson, who has diabetes, go to George R.R. Martin's house because they need to know how it all ends, because they plan on duplicating however that ends with their Black Friday, win. And when they get there, George R.R. Martin has because Scott Malkinson, who's got diabetes, needs food, and he needs his pizza. And so George R.R. Martin, oh yeah, I got the pizzas ordered, and I can tell you all about the ending. And it cuts to 3 hours later, and he's got a chorus singing the chorus of wieners, and they're singing about flaccid penises, and it's all about all the flaccid penises.
Is that where that came
Game
from?
of Thrones, yes. and Butters is like, "Where's that pizza? Scott Malkinson's gonna pass out." Yeah, it's just 3 hours later, mind you. Oh, well, what'd you want to order? Like, what are you talking about? You said they were coming. And that's the whole theme, is like they're never getting what they want from George R.R. Martin. All he wants to talk about is flaccid penises. So I do the tie-in here is because in the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, for no good reason, Sir Arlen's schlong is out there for no reason.
Oh my God, it's
the only thing I hope is that they use the same prosthetic from Hodor in season 2. He's like naked. The naked Hodor is like giant schlong.
I do have to say, I haven't looked it up. I wonder if that was actually a prosthetic, because if it wasn't, that's
it
impressive.
was. I did look it up. They used a 10-inch prosthetic. Hodor's the actor says it was 16, but I don't know if that's true.
It was ridiculous.
It's
what it was.
And veiny, and there's no good reason for it. Now, because
there's no story, there's nothing served by that.
I was thinking because of A Song of Ice and Fire made this song about flaccid wieners in Game of Thrones, that maybe they'd avoid that, because maybe we do show a lot of that. And they leaned in. So at first I'm like, well, it's just like someone's bathing or whatever, male nudity, whatever. But the shot of Sir Arlen coming out of the brothel or whatever he was and just whipping it out there for an extended pee was
the first one
unnecessary.
Is Dunk. The first one you see is Dunk. So for those of you who haven't seen it yet, that's why Jeff's so focused on the second one.
So anyway,
the first
hilarious
one made sense.
episode.
Yeah.
Hilarious, even if that's the only one you watch. Or if you go to YouTube and look up Chorus of Wieners, South Park. It's also good.
And it's funny. It is. I will say I don't have a really good basement treasure. I guess I'm going to lean in on episode 1, because for me, and I guess was it 2011 we said, that was a turning point, because I had heard of the books. I wasn't reading a ton, and when I was probably still reading all the Robert Jordans. And there's just certain things I've never gotten into, and this was one of them as a book. So when it hit that first episode, those first 5 or 10 minutes that we talked about earlier, those to me were like holy shit moments. Like, I can't believe they just did that. Like just with the incest alone, you're like, wait, they're brother and sister and they're up here fucking. That's weird. And then there's a kid and you go, oh God, they got caught. What are they going to do? Well, they're going to try to kill the kid. Wait, what? So to me, that was, it kind of shook me, if you will, and in a good way, because
shook you all night long.
All night long. I wasn't going to go that far, but it was, to me, it was sort of a turning point again, because of everything else that we've talked about. But it was Wow, this is a really interesting point of view. They're not pulling any punches. I said it about like the first few seasons of The Walking Dead. There were no lines they weren't going to cross, and I think that's what I liked. It was just shocking, and it was exciting. So, but that's how it started.
From floppy disks to streaming clicks, it's Geek Evolution.
Yeah. So started with the books, which I know you were not reading, but the books from 96 until 2011, they were, we had a Game of Thrones, The Clash of Kings, A Storm of Swords, A Feast of Crows, and A Dance of Dragons in 2011, coinciding with the release of the show. Came out in 2011 or 2011. And so the first two books, the first three books, 96, 99, 2000. And when he initially wrote it, that first book came out, it was supposed to be a trilogy. And then it just kept growing. I think sometimes I wonder if an author is stretching something out because it's successful. But I honestly think George R.R. Martin his world building is like J.R. Tolkien. He's just like so into it that I think he's creating this history, this, what is it, like 8,000 year history.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just written so much about it, thought so much about it. I think he probably thought he'd have the books released in time for when season 7 and 8 came out, but I know 6, 7, and 8, because he's only written 5 books, and so apparently so season 6. Oh, now we should have looked this up. Season 6, I guess, didn't have source material for it. Or
when did they start splitting?
Yeah. So in any case,
yeah.
Season 7 and 8 were definitely off the rails. I mean,
so for the
7
record,
wasn't as bad, but
just to get the answer to that question, I just put Game of Thrones. When did, and the first autocomplete was they run out of books. So we are far from the first ones. Book 6.
Yeah. So season 6, they didn't.
Oh no, end of season 4 is where the train overshoots the books.
No.
That's how they read. Yeah.
Well, that's not correct because there's 5 books. But all right. So season 6 actually was really good then. So that I thought that they started to lose the plot pretty much right away. Season 7 and 8 were the most disappointing. Season 8 just being the most disappointing. And really what made it, for me, most disappointing, and we'll talk more about the epic fail, was it was rushed. Like they took their time, just like George R.R. Martin's taking his freaking time. They took their time, and they did make some changes because these books are huge, and so even with their format on HBO, it'd be hard to have everything in all those episodes. But the Dance of Dragons was the longest book, but that they were already diverging a little bit and losing some of the content, I guess I should say. And they could have kept it going, but I think I read somewhere that the who is it? The showrunners,
D.B. Weiss and David Benioff.
Yeah, they wanted to move on. That's what I had read.
They had been offered Star Wars, right? They were offered some. I think they were offered some big IP.
Oh.
That might be spreading rumors. This might be a Canon Connect correction at some point. We haven't done one of those in a while. Yeah, I believe they were offered another major property.
You're right, Star Wars.
So they were trying to move on.
Yep.
Yeah. And so they were that was one of the criticisms at the time these two guys who had spent so much time building this world and doing all of the good that they did, they basically said, fuck it, we have to have a big ending.
Yeah.
And we have to have it
there
in
it is,
one
yeah.
season.
Yeah.
And so, widely panned the ending of this season, of this series rather. And for good reason. It's not a satisfying ending at all.
Yeah. But save it for the epic fail.
Yeah.
House of the Dragon was next, which I know you're not as enamored with, right?
So I'll tell you this. I love this story of Dunk in A Night of Seven Kingdoms. I almost didn't watch it because, and I might go back at some point, I watched the first few episodes of
House of the Dragon.
The House of the Dragon. Thank you. So here's my problem with it. And it's kind of a stupid problem. I admit that fully. But the first few episodes tell the story from one point of view. And then like episode 4 is 40 years in the future or 20 years in the future, whatever. It's a huge time jump. So it's the same characters, but they're played by different actors because they're trying to tell this story in chunks. And I kind of get it from the story perspective, but it so turned me off. I have heard that it's really good, and I know it's got great actors and great performances. And now that I've liked what I'm watching, maybe I'll go back and give it a second watch. But yeah, I couldn't watch it at first because it was such a jarring thing to me that I did not know was coming.
Yeah, so I see that, and it does, like those huge time jumps it's hard to follow because we go from Game of Thrones, where like a lot of it was told, taking that whole journey from Winterfell down to
so slow.
like it was
like you saw every day
time.
of the journey. You saw every day of the journey.
And so it was weird to get this new, you're all excited. House of the Dragon. Okay, we're getting maybe some redemption here. Maybe something will work again. And then you're just getting invested in the characters. Then it's 40 years later. Like what?
Yes.
What? What is going on here? So I agree with that, but I suggest you get back into it because they were just trying to get some backstory out of the way, but told in not just, in text or someone's tale, but you actually got to see it because it's slowed down now. In season 2, we're not having those huge time jumps. We're now taking the time to tell this story.
What's the next season? Is it 2 or 3?
2, and then 3's coming out next year.
So is 2 out now?
2 is out now. Yep.
Yeah.
Get back into it.
I'll have to dive back in now, especially because I'm reinvigorated with the world of Westeros.
Yeah.
Through the eyes of Dunk and Egg. So
100%. I think that Dunk and Egg have it surprised me so much. I was not expecting to like this show as much as I do. I love that it's a smaller tale, and I know you're going to talk about the music in a Critical Hit, but I love that even the music's smaller. It's like it's got a fiddle. It's like what you'd hear in a pub instead of this big grand orchestra.
Can I just say that I can't say the names Dunk and Egg without thinking about a sandwich from Dunkin' Donuts?
Nice.
I know it's stupid, so don't make fun of me because I'm making fun of myself. But that's every time I'm like, Dunk and Egg, like, really? This is what you're going with?
Well, I have a quick message, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. Let's tell these people what to think.
Your kids don't know how good you've got it.
All right, my quick message is for everybody, all generations. If you were into Game of Thrones and then either season 8 killed it for you and House of the Dragon was too chaotic for you, or you didn't even bother watching it because season 8 really ruined Game of Thrones for you, watch Night of the Seven Kingdoms. You don't have to watch House of the Dragon. at all. In fact, you could watch this without having watched any Game of Thrones ever. You're probably not listening to this podcast or watching us if you hadn't, but seriously, this is a great show. And had it been released on its own, I really do think it would still have the same buzz and have, the same viewership. It would have maybe taken a little bit longer to get there, wouldn't maybe have had 7.4 million out of the gate or whatever it had. But yeah, that's my message. We want more of Dunk and Egg. They've already been approved for season 2. What we're encouraging you to do doesn't affect that, but trust me, you're going to like it. If you were into Game of Thrones before, come back.
Yeah, the only thing I'll tag on the end of that is even if you never watched an episode of Game of Thrones at all, to Jeff's point, you don't need it. This is such a small story that the bad guys of the story are very obviously the bad guys. The good guys are very obviously the good guys. You don't need to know the history. If you do, it helps, and it makes the story a little richer because the names Baratheon and Targaryen, like all of these names mean a little bit more if you know them, but you don't need them. So even if you've never watched one episode of Game of Thrones, you're really more of a sci-fi guy or girl, go watch. It's just a really well done show. But we're running long, so we're going to drop into some hits and fails.
It's critical hits and epic fails.
All right. I'm going to start with the hit, and Jeff, you said it before. It's a two-parter, sort of, not really long. So the original music, it's one of those themes that orchestral, da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Like I can't hear it without it evoking mostly good memories, mostly good memories. But in Night of the Seven Kingdoms, they do like a minified version. They make you think it's going to crescendo, but it's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same tune, it's the same notes, but it's so much more downplayed. And I think as just an audio connection, usually you do the music stuff, but as an audio connection between the two shows, I thought it was a brilliant move to keep the same theme, but just adjust it a little bit. It's recognizable. It's like when somebody does a cover of someone else's song, or if they do like a hard rock version of a ballad, you go, oh, wow, that's cool. It's still the same song. I hear the same song, but this is a new interpretation.
Yeah.
And
I love how they kept it small. Like I said, like a fiddle, and sounds like you're in a tavern. And that's, one of the great things about this show, but and I'll go back and take a listen, but I'm pretty sure that, and I loved how they did this, is that the original theme kicks in at the end of episode 4 with the trial of 7 is like all the horses are there or
it's
something
bigger.
Or it's closer.
It's closer. It's much closer. Yeah.
Nice.
So you have a fail.
Yeah, and we've already talked about it. I know we're running long. We like to keep these just about an hour or less. And so the epic fail is season 8. It's so bad. And it's because of how hastily they did it. Because the Mad Queen ending of Daenerys, I'm not upset that she became a Mad Queen. It's in her blood. They could have done it and just, but even I think it would have taken like 2 more episodes and made it make sense. That's all. Just make it make sense. What I loved about this series is that it was smart. And there, like, as much as you could be bothered by the Red Wedding and things like that, it wasn't because it didn't make any sense. Like, it was brutal. But that brutality had a purpose and a reason. The brutality of Daenerys burning the city and flipping out the way she did made 0 sense.
Well, and you said 2 more episodes, and I do disagree with that. I think they needed 2 seasons to show that.
Yeah.
To keep pace with the way they told the rest of this story, they needed a 9th season, which I think is originally what the plan was. Before Weiss and Benioff decided they wanted to fuck off over to George Lucasville, they were supposed to do a 9th season. Had they taken Daenerys' story and stretched
Yeah.
it, to your point, and
You're right.
shown, because they showed a lot of stress for her throughout the previous few seasons. Again, make it make sense. I agree with you, but I think 2 seasons, and then at the end of 9, if you see that tear and you see this arc complete, because as much as I love her arc, it was like up, 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 and then it just took a straight fucking shitter. I'm sorry, I'm swearing like a madman this episode. This is gonna have to be but it didn't dive. It just shot into the wall or the floor, however you want to look at it. I didn't like it.
It's just crazy because like after you made that very compelling point in Geek Court that Daenerys like overcame so much, and she had she made the right choices, the good choices, the nice choices. She became heroic and not just a victim, and she did that herself. She saved herself.
Yeah.
And then to make her the villain is okay if you do it right. And you're right. Another season would have made even more sense. Just those things that chip away at who she was, and because she's trying to do the right thing. And Egg, I think in this new story, has that same goodness to him. That if enough crappy things happen to him, though, like maybe he'll make a different choice. But I know he ends up not being a Mad King. But I mean, like,
So he's not the egg that becomes the Mad King, though. 'cause
No.
the Mad King is an Aegon.
yeah, that's his descendant.
He's
Yeah, he stays a good person. His time with Duncan and they continued together. Sorry, spoilers. So sorry.
He'll be all right.
Anyway, like,
Yeah.
not all the Targaryens are crazy.
Yeah.
Some of them are good people.
Just to wrap up on the Daenerys thing, I wish if they had done it right, she would have been a tragic figure instead of a crazy bitch. Right? She snapped and went crazy. Maybe that was the harder way to say it, but I wanted to see her be an anti-hero. Like, she had this great heroic arc, but then, whatever, the pulls of her life made her more tragic. I didn't want her to be crazy and outraged. I wanted her to fall. I wanted to see her reach for the stars and fail, and that's a tragedy. And so her failure becomes sadness instead of annoyance. Because, to your point, they rushed it and it became annoying.
I love that they didn't get to do Star Wars after all.
Yes. So screw you guys. But, all right. So, Original Geek Podcast at gmail.com, originalgeekpodcast.com. Check us out, social media. TikTok and Instagram and YouTube are our big outlets. Sorry, X, I'm not coming your way. It's too annoying to play on there. But definitely check us out everywhere. Write in. We are going to, I believe, be going to a couple of local conventions. It's in February right now. There's a couple coming up in March. So, Northeast Comic-Con with collectibles in Boxborough, Massachusetts. We'll probably take a run at PAX East as well. So hopefully you guys are out there. We'll get to see you guys. And we're going to be doing a giveaway coming up soon. I don't know when. We're working on it. We'll give away one of our T-shirts to some lucky winner, and we'll have some fun with that. So also check out all the merch on the website, and watch
All right.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yes. Take care, OGs.